Hey guys, how's it going? So last Friday I went to Lansing, Michigan, had an awesome time at a rally, and this was a Support the Thin Blue Line rally and Support the Restore Freedom Petition movement in Michigan. And this is a petition and a movement that was started by my friend Katherine Henry, and this is basically to amend the Constitution of the state of Michigan to stop the unilateral executive overreach, the 1945 Act, the 1976 Act in Michigan, that's made it supposedly possible for all of the draconian rule that we're currently under. So here's a speech from Katherine Henry in Lansing, Michigan.
All right, guys. It's very nice to see you all out here today. What a beautiful day here in Michigan. A lot of the days that I stood here giving speeches, it was cold and rainy, so this is a pleasant surprise. Well, we are gathered here today to stand up. Well, I guess I should say, since he was filling in the blanks, or letting me fill in the blanks, I am Katherine Henry. I was not always a constitutional attorney, but I knew Thursday evening, March 12th, at about 11:15 p.m., that what was happening in our state was just the start of something awful. I knew that by closing down schools, that was only the first of many terrible decisions that would be coming from our governor in a way that would trample our rights. So by the first week of April, I was contacting the state reps and senators that I knew personally to reach out to them to make sure that they knew that it would be unconstitutional to continue those kinds of executive orders that were happening. Obviously, they didn't listen. But I came back on April 30th to say it a little bit louder, and they started to pay attention. It became clear to me, though, that from now on, I'm going to be fighting this fight. I'm no longer going to be doing any of the other everyday common types of law or mediation that I've been doing. Instead, I'm going to be devoting my time, my resources, my energy, and my efforts to fighting for our freedom.
Thank you!
And I'm disgusted that there are basically no other attorneys doing what I'm doing, at least without pay. So, with that being said, it would not be one of my speeches if I stood up here and didn't give you a bunch of citations to parts of our laws or Constitution, because I want to make sure that you, the people of the state of Michigan and citizens of the United States, know what your rights are. So we are gathered here today to stand up and support the Thin Blue Line. But why? Why is it necessary for us to support our law enforcement officers? We are living in times where governors set aside statutes with a stroke of a pen, turning constitutionally protected rights into criminal actions. And then where criminal actions like rioting and physical assault and terrorizing others are being protected by our chief executive officer and our chief law enforcement officer of our great state of Michigan. We are living in times where politicians are just expected to be politicians, and their word and their oaths of office mean nothing. But why does any of that even matter? It matters because all men are created equal, and we are endowed with certain unalienable rights, and governments are instituted among men to protect those very rights. Those words, being memorialized back in the Declaration of Independence, are no less true today. We fought off the tyranny hundreds of years ago, creating our U.S. Constitution and subsequent state constitutions to create a system of government that outlines the limitations placed on government officials, not on us, and underscores basic God-given rights that the people retain while coming together to form this great country. As it says in the very preamble of our U.S. Constitution, We established our Constitution to secure these blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Even our state constitution was established to secure the blessings of freedom from Almighty God, undiminished to ourselves and our posterity. To secure these blessings of liberty, we required provisions of checks and balances and separation of powers. Indeed, our very own Michigan State Constitution requires in Article 3, Section 2, that the powers of the government are divided into 3 separate branches, where no person exercising the powers of one branch shall exercise the powers properly belonging to another branch, except as expressly provided in our Constitution. Yet, we see here where a governor issues over 160 executive orders so far this year that purport to impose restrictions upon us under penalty of jail time, criminal fines, civil fines, and license confiscation. She is even requiring businesses to post signs at their entrances saying that her executive orders are the law. And this comes from a governor who is also a licensed attorney here in the state of Michigan. Go figure. Our state constitution in Article 4, Section 22 prohibits laws from being enacted through executive orders like this, instead requiring that all legislation be done by a bill. Additionally, our state constitution in Article 4, Section 24 prohibits new laws from being enacted that cover more than one subject. Yet each of our governor's executive orders clearly cover a multitude of subjects. And why is that? Why is this requirement in there? Because the people need to know the rules by which they are being governed. This is a government by the people. Article 4, Section 25 of our state constitution requires that no new laws are allowed to be created without including the entire text of the old law as amended, for the same reasons that the last provision is in there, so that people know the rules by which they are being governed. Yet our governor consistently attempts to amend our current laws without even citing most of them, let alone including the text of the provisions that she's modifying. Our state constitution requires the governor to wait 90 days before enforcing new laws under Article 4, Section 27. Yet as seen in these executive orders, like 2020-161, these executive orders are effective immediately upon issuance, according to Whitmer. Sad thing is, our legislature is also to blame. They are the ones that put together MCL 10.31 Subdivision 2, part of the Emergency Powers of Governor Act of 1945, that specifically allows these emergency executive orders to be effective from the date the governor so chooses. And despite Article 4, Section 39 of our state constitution requiring our state and local government operations to continue in periods of emergency, the governor has shut down all non-essential government services for most of the spring and summer. Side note, if they're non-essential, they shouldn't be in government. The 14th Amendment to our U.S. Constitution and Article 1, Section 2 of our state constitution guarantees equal protection under the law. Yet, similarly situated individuals have been treated differently under both the governor's executive orders as well as the Attorney General's law enforcement mandates. You see this where comic book stores with regular snack sales cannot stay open under the governor's stay-home orders, yet liquor stores that might just sell a protein bar or two are allowed to stay open as an essential business. Article 1, Section 3 of our state constitution guarantees us the right to peaceably assemble, consult for the common good, instruct our representatives, and to petition our government for a redress of grievances. While the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guarantees us the right to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. However, the vast majority of our chief executive officers' executive orders, Whitmer's orders, in 2020 have been geared toward keeping people locked in their homes or separated using social distancing. making it a crime to gather in groups more than the allowed amount. Our liberty to worship God according to the dictates of our own conscience is protected under Article 1, Section 4 of our state constitution, in addition to the First Amendment protections of our U.S. Constitution for the free exercise of religion. But our governor has required masks to be worn and social distancing to be used in such worship activities. While Article 1, Section 5 of our state constitution guarantees that every person may freely speak, write, express, and publish his views on all subjects, say, for example, when you're speaking out against a petition being circulated to supposedly help our rights, but actually it's just trying to help the rights of pedophiles, for example. In other words, you might not want to sign the petition that was over there.
That's right.
Despite these rights, where no law shall be enacted to restrain or abridge the liberty of speech or of the press, gatherings have been prohibited by Whitmer, and press and the public have been limited at press conferences due to the social distancing requirements. And Michiganders are punished with harsher executive order provisions when we gather for speeches at public rallies just like this one. Because clearly, when we all came on April 30th, we were the cause of the spread of COVID-19 here in Michigan. Article 1, Section 10 of our U.S. Constitution and Article 1, Section 10 of our state constitution protect our right to make contracts unimpaired. Yet these executive orders are directly prohibiting thousands of businesses from being open, thus directly impairing their ability to perform under their multitude of contracts. Might seem like something simple and boring to talk about the right to have your contracts, but truly that is the basis for everything we do in our country. In fact, our Constitution is a contract. If we can't be allowed to have those contracts and perform under those contracts because the government wants to step in and stop us, where are we? We can't rely on the word of another person. We are guaranteed the right to be secured from unreasonable searches and seizures under the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution, as well as Article 1, Section 11 of our state constitution. Yet these newest executive orders, about which I receive literally thousands of calls and emails and text messages every single week, by the way. And if you have sent me a message, call, text message, something through our website, and I haven't gotten back to you, I will still get back to you, but I am that backlogged. At any rate, we have these newest executive orders that are requiring businesses to utilize contact tracing measures, asking customers and employees about their travels and their health history, and taking their temperature, all without being charged with a crime or having a warrant. We are guaranteed due process of law before the government can deny us of our life, liberty, or property under both the 5th and the 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution, as well as Article 1, Section 17 of our state constitution. Yet all of these new restrictions placed upon us as individuals and as business owners are being imposed without adherence to any of our constitutionally required processes for creating or enforcing laws, hence the last several boring paragraphs I just shared with you. So let's put this all into context. We literally created our entire system of government for the purpose of securing our blessings of liberty that were given to us not by the government but by God. We have done so by guaranteeing ourselves a Republican form of government under Article 4, Section 4 of our U.S. Constitution, where we, the people, retain the sovereign power, electing representatives to exercise only certain powers on our behalf. The 10th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution states that the power is not delegated to the U.S. by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. But even more importantly, The Ninth Amendment to the Constitution states that the enumeration in this Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And our state constitution says the exact same thing in Article 1, Section 23. A lot of legalese, I'm sure, so what does that part mean? Just because a right that was given to us by God, say for example to breathe fresh air without a mask requirement, just because we didn't spell that right out in a constitution, that doesn't mean that that right doesn't exist. That doesn't mean that that right was not given to us by God. We have a lot of rights that were given to us by God that we did not choose to enumerate in these constitutions. Why? Most of which because it was common sense that we wouldn't have to tell people there are rights in the first place. So why is it so important for us to recognize the power that we, the people, have retained in establishing our system of government? Well, the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution declares that, quote, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the citizens of the United States. I'm going to take a quick side note and tell you that means all those U.S. Supreme Court decisions throughout the years that have taken a little bit away and a little bit away of our constitutional rights. Well, the government's allowed to do this to you, and they're allowed to do that to you. What I'm telling you is that they're wrong. I don't care how much money they make or how high they sit on a court with the U.S. or Michigan Supreme Courts. If they are trying to amend or abridge our rights that are guaranteed to us in the U.S. Constitution, they're wrong. Also, the claim and exercise of a constitutional right cannot be converted into a crime, a principle that has been clearly recognized and articulated in our federal court since at least 1956, so at least I got that right. Article 6 of our U.S. Constitution requires that all legislative, executive, and judicial officers of the United States and of each state shall be bound by an oath to support the U.S. Constitution. Additionally, Article 11, Section 1 of our state constitution requires that all legislative, executive, and judicial officers take an oath to support the U.S. and Michigan constitutions, not the laws, because laws at times are unconstitutional. The oath is to support the U.S. and Michigan constitutions and nothing else. It actually says you can have no other oath to take these offices. So who then is our last line of defense when we have a governor who is so blatantly disregards our constitutionally protected rights, and an attorney general who advocates for the enforcement of these clearly unconstitutional mandates? It is our law enforcement officers out there in our communities who are choosing to abide by their oath to support the U.S. and Michigan constitutions and not follow these unconstitutional mandates. That's why I'm here today, to support those people. It is also the thousands of volunteers we have all across our state right now who are collecting signatures for petitions like the Restore Freedom Initiative Constitutional Amendment petition that will restore our government to one of the people, by the people, and for the people. And if you forget what that petition will do, just come up and talk to me later and you'll see my beautiful shirt. It says just that. But in all seriousness, it is also people like you who will stand behind our officers who are faithfully supporting the U.S. and Michigan constitutions regardless of what it costs them personally or professionally. Where our governor is seemingly allowed to control every aspect of our daily lives with no one trying to stop her but me and Dar, and where a police chief with nearly 25 years of service with one community in particular can be fired for literally supporting the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution, we must all stand and take action now. So make sure you sign the petitions like ours. The 1945 repeal, the recall petition when that comes out, Don't sign that civil rights petition. That thing's awful. But do remember to sign the Restore Freedom Initiative constitutional amendment petition that will restore our government back to the people. Make it a point to attend your local city council meetings, school board meetings, and otherwise stay involved in state and local government. Speak up during public comment time, which you can do at any open meeting of any public body. And if anyone tries to say you are not allowed to speak at all during a public meeting, you call me. Make sure you're writing them emails and making phone calls. You're being a thorn in the side of the guys and women that work in this building so that they know, all the government officials know, state and local, know that you expect them to uphold their oath of office. No exceptions. And look out for those brave enough to risk it all in order to uphold the Constitution and stand behind them in whatever manner you are able. Obviously, we have at least one here today, Steve over there, that served nearly 25 years with the city of Lowell before city council and a city manager decided that defending or acknowledging the rights that are guaranteed to us in the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution was a political statement and full of personal feelings. Make sure you don't turn a blind eye to that stuff. Take it seriously. There are people in every community that are out there trying to do the right thing. Find them, support them, donate to them, call them, email them, text message them, let them know that you are praying for them, that you are there for them, that you are supporting them. If and when we ever make it to another Lowell City Council meeting to discuss the lawsuit we will be filing against them, come and support us. Sit there at that Lowell City Council meeting so they can see face to face the people who take the U.S. and Michigan Constitutions seriously. Make sure you encourage your friends, neighbors, children, and coworkers to read our state and federal constitutions so they can properly stand up for the rights guaranteed to them. I harass teenagers everywhere I go. Some poor kid was sitting next to my husband on a bench over there, and he looked to be about my kid's age. And I said, "Hey, how old are you? Are you a teenager?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, how old are you?" He said, 14. I said, "Perfect. Can you tell me what rights are guaranteed to you in the United States Constitution?" Poor kid looked at me like I was crazy. And then I continued to talk his ear off for a while to make sure he knew how important it would be that he read the U.S. Constitution, that he read the state constitution, that he studied those rights, and he was never dependent upon his parents or his teachers or his employers to just protect those rights for him. That he knew what those rights were and he knew how to fight for them the right way. Make sure you are talking to your friends, neighbors, relatives, co-workers to encourage them to be doing the same thing. And pray. Pray for the 5 minutes of oral argument time that I have been granted in front of the Michigan Supreme Court on September 2nd to argue these very issues, and that my words will be God's words, and that I will say exactly what I need to say to be able to be effective at demonstrating to our Michigan Supreme Court justices exactly why our U.S. and Michigan constitutions must be upheld no matter the circumstance.
Amen.
And please pray for them to have that open heart and open mind, that regardless of what political affiliation they are or anything else that has come in the way between us and having freedom, that they are doing the right thing and they recognize this is not a choice, it is a requirement. Because they, like our governor, like our attorney general, like myself as a licensed attorney, like your local school board officials and city council members and police officers, every single public official in the state of Michigan is required to take that oath of office to uphold the U.S. and Michigan constitutions. And if they ever tell you they're not doing that because they didn't know, I'm sorry, do you get to ever tell an officer when he pulls you over that you can't be charged with a particular crime or given that speeding ticket because you didn't see the speed limit sign? No. The same rules and obligations and requirements apply to them as it does us. It's up to us, the people, to hold them all accountable, regardless of what level of government that they are at. So please, don't take this lightly. Please make sure you know your rights. And really do pray for me, because as you can see, me explaining all this in 5 minutes or less is really going to be a challenge. Thanks, guys.
It was a great speech, and I have another video that I took with Katherine after the fact that I'm going to be posting here soon, and hopefully you guys like this type of content. I'm just getting you guys out on the street with me in real life, looking at how regular people like you can make a change, and just letting you guys know that we can have a good time and keep our freedom in the state of Michigan and in the United States. Alright, thanks for watching, and have a good one.